Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Just Seen podcast. And today, as you've seen from the title, we're going to be talking about limits or limitations. I haven't decided what I'm going to name it yet, but it's about limitations. And specifically, I guess it's kind of in flow with what we've been talking about lately about, obedience, permission, and abilities. And this episode came about because it's like I'm listening to people. I don't know how. I don't. Maybe I'm just able to hear it better now when people tell me what they can't do or what they shouldn't do, and things of that nature. But like, I was talking to somebody and they mentioned the word, not the word, but the phrase shoulda, coulda, wouldas. You feel me? Or maybe I was watching Sister Act. I don't know. Something happened where I heard shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and I was talking to a person afterwards, and they were like, I'm like, yo, your shoulda, coulda, wouldas is like the regrets of the things that you knew weren't limitations. And it kind of made us both stop. And it was like, wait, what? And I had to sit back and think about it. I was like, when people be like, I should have did this, I could have did this, I would have did this. And it's like, but why didn't you? Well, at the time, and then it goes into the limitation. And then when you hear the limitation, it's always, in my opinion, just from my experience with people, it's always one of three things. It's either their obedience to somebody, uh, their lack of permission, or just the ability that they thought they didn't have until they realized down the line. And it's more so because I think our limitations are imposed upon us by those with limitations, for one. But I think the reason why our limits are imposed on us because of those three things. And it's one thing that when people tell me like I've had conversations with people, and this was a specific person, and then going in deeper, it was like, well, you don't have limitations. And it's like, duh, nobody has limitations. They're like, but no, it's different for you because like you just don't, a lot of people feel like I don't have fear. I don't, but I think what people's perception of fear is their limitations. Because it's like, for me, fear is just what you don't understand. And I seek to understand things. And then when I look at how often people don't desire to understand things for one of those three realities, it makes me wonder like, do you really live in fear? Do you live in limitation? You feel what I'm saying? Do we look at people who say, oh, that person just fearful? Are they really fearful, or are they bound by limitation? No matter how big they get, they're bound by limitation. And it made me think about this story I heard about an elephant. And when the elephant was first born, it was put into captivity. They put a ball and chain on the elephant's leg and it couldn't move, right? And that was a limitation for the elephant. But at the time, as a kid, as the I don't know what you call elephant kids, but as an elephant baby and shit, it would try to still walk and move, knowing that it couldn't pull the ball. It didn't give a damn. It was like, I feel like moving, until something happened and triggered in him, was like, I can't move the ball. And then eventually, as the baby elephant became an adult elephant, it became significantly stronger than any of the balls and chains that could have went on it. But once the chain was lashed around its ankle and it registered the ball, it didn't try to move. That was powerful because when I look at people and some of their I ain't gonna say self-imposed, because it becomes self-imposed over time, but it's not self-imposed. It is the imposition of people around you. You see what I'm saying? And our limits are developed by who we have to be obedient to, who gives us permission, and what we perceive our abilities to be. Now, all of these things are summed up with one word: can. Well, two, can't. You feel me? But when you look at can and can't, those are two words that are synonymous with those things, which also help dictate limitations. When I hear people tell me what they can and can't do, it's like, how do you know? Well, I never tried. Like, it's always people tell me they can't do shit they never tried before. And it's like, when you get to that point, you have a chain, you now have that ball and chain on you where you don't even try to move anymore because you've already believed that you can't move. I've talked to so many people who say shit like, "Yo, I'm not good at math." So they'll use their limitations to make up a reality that doesn't even exist for them. When it comes to day trading and investing, when people say, "I want to do it, but I was never good at math." Who said you have to, do you know how to add your money? Do you know how to subtract your fund? Like, do you know how to add and subtract? Yeah, but I was never good at math. There's things within the limitations within themselves that now translate into deeper aspects of reality that really ain't got shit to do with shit. But because our imagination is wired to it, which is our nation of images, which are all the things we've internalized that we can't do, that we shouldn't do, we make associations according to those things and they develop our limitations. But before I dive heavy into that, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _just_scene_. Be sure to check out my website at IamJustSeen.com to get all things that are just seen. To all those who tip, donate, and sponsor to the podcast, you are greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. To all those who would like to tip, donate, and sponsor to the podcast, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of the podcast. Not the episode, the podcast itself. And as always, Cash App and PayPal are just fine. And you know the vibes. That's for this and that's this for that. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to dive into limits, obedience, permission, and ability. And don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There, you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the So For Real series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the markets for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So take a quick peek into my world to see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it, and you will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com. All right. Welcome back. Ow. And without further ado, we're going to dive heavy into this motherfucker. So, yeah, continuing what I was saying, like, when you consider the limitations, people will make up their own inabilities. So this is what I'm saying when you have something that's like self-imposed, because it goes from my inability, when you go from self-imposed, it's internalized based off of what was externalized on you. And what I mean by that is that when we're developing, everything that we tie to our ability is either connected to our obedience or our permission. So as we're developing and we're not really understanding the differences and the distinctions between what we can and can't do based off of our ability, based off of our obedience, and based off of our permission, it kind of fucks things up. So permission and obedience kind of go hand in hand. Like, we get that. Like, your obedience is determined by your ability, by the permission you follow. You feel what I'm saying? And that gets crazy because when you look at people's senses of morality, people think that they're good people simply because they're obedient. Not and their goodness has nothing to do with morality. This is something that I've learned the hard way over the years. This is something I even used to body myself. Like, I used to think I was a good person because I was obedient to a religion. I was obedient to what the religion told me to be obedient to. You feel what I'm saying? But I was fucked up on the inside. I was an asshole, bro. I was a real fucked up person. But I called myself good, and I would say shit like, "Yo, but he know my heart." I would say that shit because I'm being obedient. Not realizing that obedience and morality don't have shit to do with each other. The goodness that is derived from obedience does not have anything to do with the goodness that's derived from morality. But it's still the word good. So in a sense, it's gonna be like I'm a floating in and out of good and can. In these two words are, I think, in my opinion, are many of the factors that contribute to our limitations. What we think is good and what we think we can and can't do. That's where our limitations are set. You feel what I'm saying? If what I do, is it good, right? Do I have the permission to do it? Or am I going to be rewarded positively for it? Or am I going to be punished? Or do I have the ability? When these two worlds come about, you get your limitations. I don't think that's by accident. I know it's not by accident because that's how you oppress a people. You feel me? You first confuse them with the language or whatever the case may be, but we're going deeper than that. I don't want to stick on that side. I want to keep to the actual perspective of what limitations are. So when we consider the things that we think are good, like what I think was good, what was good for me versus what I can do, you know what I'm saying? As you're developing as a person, those limitations are imposed upon you based off of those two dynamics. As I said, the goodness, like people be thinking, I'm a good person because I'm obedient. I follow rules. And you see it play out all the time, whether it be in school, whether it be in job, whether it be a church, whether it be whatever. People think that they should receive the reward for the obedience that they exhibited. Now, with time, that reward it starts to set the standard for the limitations of what you're going to do. I only do things that are going to be good for me, right? Or I'm only going to be good in response to certain shit so I can get the reward or whatever. But even deeper than that, it's like whatever I can view as obedient, I'll do it. You feel what I'm saying? I learned like tying this growing up in the environments that I grew up in the spaces that I developed. I noticed that a lot of people, my bad, just to share. I noticed that a lot of people are in worlds where they say things like, um, I used to be this way. Like back when I was like, if y'all would have caught me back in like back in the day is a very powerful sentiment, but it alludes to the things, to the limitations we now impose upon ourselves. Like when people say things like, I would have done this, or I could have done that, or I should have done that, right? But when we go back in the day, it's like there was a time when you didn't have the quote unquote obedience you have. You feel me? Not and when we look at it like we didn't get morally sound and we didn't get better, we just got more obedient towards something else. It's still in you. It's still in you. But what we don't apply to that is that it's in us for a reason. We try to remove it out of ourselves to be more obedient. So what I'm saying is that it's like when we consider how people say, well, when I used to do this, when I was young and I used to wild out because I was young and I used to wild the fuck out. And it's like those moments were moments of freedom where my limitations were shattered, where I didn't have limitations. I didn't give a fuck about limitations. But certain things are in place where you can't. And it's not to say go wild out and be crazy, that all limitations are like limitations are put there. Like, I'm not saying that when you don't have limitations, let me rephrase it because it's getting all over the place again. Slow down. If you're looking from the perspective of limitations and you think limitations are solely to prevent you from doing bad things, you're mistaken. They're they're there to make you stop doing essential things. Because just as you can do something bad with a thing, you can do something good with a thing. Specifically, when we consider violence, right? I come from a bloodline of warriors. Like I know that. And I know that there's things that are in me that make me violent. Now, the concept of violence itself is disobedient. You feel me? It is a bad thing. It is not good. It is a bad thing. You feel what I'm saying? As it's portrayed. However, it is an essential thing. And I think that's what we get wrapped up in because we get so taught to focus on what's good and bad versus what's beneficial and detrimental. You can really see through the veil of what's good and bad, and you can start to break down your limitations when you look at life through detriment and benefit as opposed to good and bad. If you only see things as good, your perception of good is what has to dictate that, which is going to give you a limitation. You feel what I'm saying? And before we get too all, heavy into the mysticism and shit, like think of it simply like this. Sugar is sweet, which makes you feel good, but it's bad for you. Exercise is painful. It makes you feel bad. It hurts, but it's good for you. You feel what I'm saying? Stripping that back. Sugar is detrimental for you. Leave it at that. It makes me feel like, no, it's detrimental. So it doesn't matter that it feels good, it's detrimental. You feel what I'm saying? So there's no reason to have a delineation of how it makes me feel. How there's like, no, it's detrimental. And why is it detrimental? Because of what it leads to. The fucking the type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and now they haven't officially documented labeled it yet, but type 3 diabetes, which is Alzheimer's. You feel what I'm saying? It leads to that shit. So it's detrimental. You feel what I'm saying? Beneficial shit that hurts. Working out, going to the gym, getting up and discipline. All of the good shit hurts. It's bad because it doesn't feel good because we're tied to the understanding of obedience. Our limitations sometimes are based, our limitations are largely based off our misunderstanding of what the fuck we're talking about. You feel me? When you tell a kid, be good. No, do what's required to not get in trouble. Like that's what we're telling them when we're telling them to be good. Now, what is trouble? Trouble is going against permission. You didn't do what I told you to do. You didn't do what I asked you to do. You did what you wanted to do. I know. This is my life. I'm supposed to do that. You feel me? Your job is to guide me into doing it the correct way, in a beneficial way, not be good. The problem is now we have to look at the imagery and the images that we have, or what is a good person? What is a good person? We literally have an image and a facade of what a good person is, and we don't. And those people are not good people. One of the biggest mind fucks to me is how we continue to vote for people that we know are not doing us any good. Oh, that's a good person. That's a good person. They're not beneficial, motherfucker. You feel me? This is where that whole the lesser of two evil shit gets crazy because it's like when they voted for when y'all voted for Sleepy Joe, y'all said he's the lesser of the two evils. I'm going to pick the good one because I perceive this one to be bad. And it's so wired that you chose goodness over benefit. Your perceived goodness, because both of these, you feel me? This is America. Don't catch you slipping, bro. But it's the limitation and the permission that you have. Now, let's go back and tie that in and expand it a little bit deeper. Because most of the people that voted, most of our people are Democrats. Why are you Democrats? Because of your obedience. You ain't like motherfuckers don't like. I didn't realize this until like once when I stopped voting. And two, like I only voted twice in my life, and I voted for Obama both times. Why? Because when I was telling, like, when it was time for me to vote, this was what I was told: you got to vote Democrat. Why? Because black people vote Democrat. All right, then I ain't question it because I had other important shit to do. I'm getting ready to go to college, and I'm in college. This is my first year in college and shit. So I'm not giving a fuck about the research and the shit of the politics and shit. I'm like, fuck it. All right, we vote black. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, we stick together. We stick together to a fault. We're obedient. A lot of times we be thinking that you're unified, but you're really collectively obedient. What are you obedient to though? That's how cults work. But what are you obedient to when you really sit and think about it? So everybody's like, black people got to vote Democrat. The obedience is so wired that the motherfucker said before, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Wow. The same nigga that did the crime bill and shit. Like, and everybody's like, that was then. Let's look at the now. No, that's him as a person. You don't just erase the shit that happens to you, bro. Like, you don't just erase your personality overnight. You build onto it, especially when you're a grown man, when you utter these words. It wasn't some shit that he said when he was 16, 17 years old. This man was in his 40s when he said the shit. His 30s and his 40s when he said the shit, bro. And motherfucker just gave it a pass because of obedience. Because the obedience and the allegiance to the allegiance of being obedient. Oh, we're Democrats. Because this is what a good Democrat does. This is what a good black person does. But what about a beneficial black person, bro? You feel me? Now, this all ties in. I use that example because when it was time for me to vote Democrat, that's what it was. And I listened to the people that told me to vote Democrat. And I said, why? Then I realized that the Democrat was the fucked up party. When I actually studied and learned, I said, oh, so the Republicans the whole time actually started off black, got co-opted, and it was actually, whoa, it makes sense. And this is why the Democrats get your vote and leave you the fuck alone. Follow my obedience. Be good. You feel me? And now I'm going to tap into the fact that I know that you're wired to focus on obedience, permission, and ability, all under the same guise of being good and can. The words good and can. You feel me? So let's address can a little bit, because a lot of us, when we hear what we can and can't do, we think it's about our ability. And we've heard it for so long that we just accept that it's our ability. As soon as you hear can't, you say, what? All right. And you accept that it's your ability. I mean, you accept that it's your ability when it's not. It's the permission that you have. You feel what I'm saying? I always wonder, like, when I ain't wonder, because nigga, I didn't give a fuck. And it's not that I didn't give a fuck about shit. I just never could factor why you telling me no. And it's not that you're telling me no in the sense I was defiant by nature or no shit like that, but you're telling me I can't do something that my mind perceives that I can. Like, I got the ability to do this shit. I don't know what you're doing, what you're talking about. So I'm gonna do it anyway. You feel me? Because you're telling me I can't do it. And I'm not hearing that. You're telling me I don't have the permission to. I'm hearing you telling me, watch me. You can't do that. Watch me. This is that's something that I've always got from motherfuckers. They used to always call me reckless and wild. They're like, you can't do that. Watch me. Like, I don't think people really understand how powerful those two words are in regards to your limitations. Somebody to tell, and a lot of people think you don't have anything to prove. And it's I don't think I wow. I don't think that it's us trying to prove something when we say watch me, but it's to show the delineation between you're speaking about permission, I'm speaking about ability. This is different. Now, when you fuck up and you do some shit, and then yeah, you got to eat that because motherfuckers be like, see, I told you you couldn't do it, but you weren't like. But then when you do it, it's like, wow, I didn't know you can do it because again, that limitation was already imposed and built up in that person, and now they just projected it on you. But they projected permission on you versus ability. For example, when I actually learned how to swim, now granted, I fucked up. I learned how to swim on some fucked up shit. Nobody taught me for real, for real. I just jumped in 9 feet of water because I didn't know the depths that I didn't know pools. Let me tell the story, right? So I didn't know that pools are based off of the bottom, not the top. So for me, all of the water looks the same. I know that I see 9, 6, 3 going down the pool. I don't give a fuck about that shit. It's all water, nigga. I jump in 9 feet. Sink or swim, sink or swim. And I couldn't sink. So and then I wasn't supposed to be in the water. So I literally had to get out of the water by myself, swim to the end. And because we wasn't supposed to be in the water yet because the adults hadn't got there. We were the first two there. You feel me? And I fucking jumped in 9 feet of fucking water. 9 feet of fucking water. I learned how to swim though. But here's the thing that I'm saying with that. This is why I say that, because they say black people can't swim. Black people can't swim. And I was like, I could swim. My brother swims like a fish. My sister could swim. Uh, and when I look back at it, it's like, why don't black people get in the water no more? Like, why we don't swim? We think, and they got us believing, and I ain't gonna say everybody, some people really believe that it's a matter of our genetics and not our mechanics. Like, nigga, to swim, all you have to do is flutter your feet and stroke your arms. That's it. It's mechanics, bro. It's not genetic. But when they say black people can't swim as a stereotype, it came from permission as opposed to ability. Because we would go to the pools, they'll pour bleach into the motherfucking pool, trying to blind you and shit, things of that nature. I'm like, y'all, we used to have canoes and we used to fish and shit. Like, you gotta know how to swim to get in the water, bro. Like, our indigenous cultures didn't just like, nigga, like, come on, we gotta start thinking. But then I had to start thinking about, when they say black people can't swim. It's not that black people can't swim. Black people still perceive they don't have the permission to swim. When I was young, my mom used to always say, be in the house before the street lights come on. For what? That's when shit get lit. I know. I was a kid. I was like 12, 13 maybe. But I'm like, can I at least stay out to 8, maybe 5 or something? Because, when daylight saving time hit, it's different. I didn't understand the permission versus the ability. Why I can't, what you mean I can't stay out till 5? Nothing's gonna happen to me. I'm with my friends. Like, the fuck, it's just dark now. Come on, like, what's going on? studying the history because I lived in the South. You feel me? I grew up in the South. Understanding the history of the South. Yeah, if they catch you outside, you're gonna die. You feel me? There's a lot of things that it's like these things to let up to the permission and the limitation that we naturally have as people, and they're not natural limitations. They're nurtured limitations. And so when I'm saying, why can't I stay outside? Because I said so. Well, that doesn't suffice for me. I love my moment of life. I love my moment of life. And I didn't really violate her rules on purpose, but it's just there was a clash. You're telling me what I can't do based on permission, but I'm telling you what I have the ability to do. So I'm not trying to tell you that I got to show you, but I'm telling you, yo, I'm able to do this and be okay. I didn't realize that we were speaking from two different perspectives. She was telling me you don't have the permission to do this. Now, when you grow up enough, and this is one of the things that it's like a lot of people are still shocked. Like me and my big sister, we was having a conversation about this a while back. She said, "Bro, you so brave." She said, "Since I known you, nothing would stop you. If you said you wanted to do it, you would do it." I said, "Why not? Why not?" Like, I don't get it. It's like, yo, even if somebody told you you couldn't do it, you would do it. And she expressed something to me one time. She was like, we was talking about something, and she was like, "You can't do it." I said, "Yes, the fuck I can." And she was on some. I only said you couldn't do it because I knew I said, "No, it doesn't motivate me because I know that you're a hater." At that point, I was fucking with her, but I was like, "It doesn't motivate me because I think you're being a hater because I already knew that I could do it." But for her perspective, she was like, "Yeah, because if somebody tells me I can't do something, it motivates me." I said, "That's because of the condition of always hearing what you couldn't do and not separating permission from ability. You knew you had the ability and it was watch me, nigga." The fuck? A lot of people be thinking I draw on motivation when people tell me what I can't do. No, you're not drawing on motivation. You're accepting ability. That's all. We just channel it in the wrong way. Which now the ego now gets involved, and that's when negative shit happens. So when me and my sister was talking, she was like, "Bro, you so brave." She was like, "It's different." She was like, "You hear that shit in movies about a brave motherfucker. You be like, you don't look at." She said, "But yo, you really are a brave motherfucker." Like, she said, "There's nothing you can't do," and it's like, I said, "I know." Because I don't look at it as permission. When you tell me I can't do something, I don't see it as permission. I've already figured it out 4 times how to do it, how to gain the ability to do it. So when you tell me I tried that and it didn't work, you don't have the ability. That's okay. I do. But because you don't have the ability, don't try to exert permission on me. You see what I mean? And that's where the limitations come in. Because somebody said, I couldn't do this. And sometimes they'll say, I couldn't do this because I didn't have the permission to do it. And then when I snuck off and did it, because you snuck off and did the shit out of ego. A lot of the shit that we do in the rebellious teenage phase, a lot of the shit that we do when we're rebelling, it's not really rebelling. And people be thinking you have a problem with authority. No, you don't have a problem with authority. They play the semantics to make it seem like you have a problem with authority. No, you're trying to your internal wiring knows that there's a difference between ability and permission. And when a motherfucker's telling you what you can't do, naturally you know that you can because you're basing it off of your ability. You see what I'm saying? And so when you're basing it off your ability internally and they're imposing permission, now y'all conflicting because now you're arguing. Watch me, motherfucker. And then when you fail at it because you have not gone through the process, now what plagues in your mind? I should have been obedient. If I would have just listened to this motherfucker, I wouldn't be in this position right now. How many times have you heard that? If you would have just listened to what I told you to do, no. If you would have known what the fuck you were doing, you wouldn't be in that position right now. If you would have known how to use your ability, you wouldn't be in that position right now. Because how many times have you done some shit and it went smooth? And now the motherfucker, you got him with I told you so. Don't brag. No, nigga. I told you my ability. You try to invoke your permission. They're two different worlds. You feel what I'm saying? They're two different worlds. In our culture, we glorify ignorance. So when a smart motherfucker comes around, by ability, we try to impose that don't be smart. Don't be that. Like, don't show up like that. Mm-mm. I've never been one to dwarf my intelligence. I've never been one to dwarf my artistic side. I've never been one to dwarf that shit. So when I say I can do something, it's because in my mind I already envision the ability. Now, when people say don't be cocky, this is where arrogance comes in, or the concept of arrogance. A lot of people be thinking you're arrogant because I'm telling you what ability I have, and you're arguing what permission you had. It ain't my fault a motherfucker told you that you didn't have the permission to do some shit and you believed it. You feel me? A quote that I heard, and I kind of added on to it. It was, children ask for permission, adults ask for forgiveness. And me, I added this next part, God's asked for neither. You can read Psalms 82 and 6 if you up in arms and you from the faith or whatever. Oh. But I feel like I've always, like, my thing was this. It was a wild stretch, maybe, but I feel like if you're really following your religion and it tells you you're creating the image and the likeness of a deity that's infinite, I should be infinite too by ability. But there's a mask in that, because before you learn about that aspect of the infinite possibilities of what the fuck you can do, you're taught to obey it. So the hierarchical system is already set in the sense that, you know, children, honor your mother and your father, for this is right. So whatever permissions my parents, my elders, whatever they give me based off of my ability is always going to clash. Especially in our culture, because we're transitioning from a perspective of we were enslaved for 400 years. We didn't have no permission. We didn't have no permission and we had limited ability. So now we're watching our generations transition and we never stopped. And we never stopped to separate permission from ability. So when people say you doing this, that, and the third, now it gets into the obedience, because now you're embarrassing me. Rather than, hey, yo, this is your ability, I have to help you cultivate it. I'm just going to tell you, you don't have the ability, you don't have the permission to use that ability. Oh, but I'm going to use it anyway. So now when I am using my ability and I've already been told, now I have to go down that route, because it goes from me using it fruitfully to me trying to prove a point. You feel me? When I tell people all the time, this is what I mean by this. When I say a people pleaser and a spiteful person are the same motherfucker. The people pleaser is the person who wants the permission, who wants who wants to be viewed good for being for their abilities. The spiteful person says, "I'm going to show you my abilities because you took the permission away." So now the people pleaser is, I'm only going to use my ability to be obedient. The spiteful motherfucker is the motherfucker who says, watch me. I'm going to use my ability to show you that I got it, rather than I'm going to use the ability for what it's supposed to be used for. And I know it's like, well, you haven't said limitations or used limitations. If you can't see how the limitations are imposed, then you're limited. But these dynamics in which they play out create the limitations. And our desire is either we're going to shatter these limitations or we're going to succumb to them. A lot of people right now are depressed solely because they think they're not permitted to do what they know they're able to do. I know I'm gonna sit with that one because that's a dramatic one. In this world, when we're born into this space, you have one or two paths. I know people always talk about, oh, the path is to get to heaven and like, no, fuck that. That may be the aftermath. But while you're currently living on the earth, you have two paths, either to walk into your art or walk through your science. And what you actually do, you end up at one path anyway. Lead with either the science or your art and merge the two, right? But everybody's born one of two ways. Either you're born the artist or you're born a scientist. Now, because of the way semantics is played out, you think a scientist is somebody that's just in the science field, biology, chemistry, all of these different things. No, science means to know. The thinker is the scientist. That's it. The person is willing to think. That is the scientist, right? The person who's born feeling is the artist. You don't have to create what is art. Well, it's music. It's painting. That's literally it. When you ask a motherfucker, like when you envision an artist right now, what is in your imagination? I got an episode on this for the Nation of Images, and it ties into this. When you think about art, what does your imagination tell you? Oh, somebody who paints or draws. Somebody who paints, draws, or makes music. That's an artist. Or plays an instrument. You know how many people I know? You know how many people I know that are deep feelers and said, "I wish I was I wish I could play an instrument. I wish I." No, you're worrying about. You're an artist, but you think those are the only mediums in which you can exhibit your art. Art is feeling. Science is thought. Now the reality is that they're the one and the same. The opposite sides of the same coin. The art improves when you understand the science that makes the art. The science improves when you're able to utilize the art out of it or create an art out of it. You feel what I'm saying? You feel what I'm saying? When you're able to do that and blend the world, that's when you operate in the self. But when we're born into this space, we're born one of two ways, either going to be the feeler or the thinker. Now you have the combination of both, but you feel what I'm saying? I'm using it for dramatic perspectives. Don't look at it as like, well, Scene said it was art. I'm not like, no, nigga. I mean, I always use extremes to drive the point home. You feel what I'm saying? So when we look at those who feel first before they think, and it's not just, well, because I always say, well, you say women feel before they think and men think before they feel. Yeah, masculine and feminine. But now you see how all of this shit is really wired. It's a duality that's supposed to bring you back in a singularity and harmony. Not no fucking androgynous being, motherfucker, but a motherfucker who understands certain things. But I'm saying that to say this. We look at science from the ability perspective. You feel what I'm saying? We look at art from the permission perspective, right? We stop the science because we stop thinking and knowing because we feel like I'm not smart. You feel what I'm saying? We don't permit the art side because we don't want to feel. You feel what I'm saying? When it comes to the artistic expression, all it is feeling. How do you feel about what you know? You feel me? The science side is how do you know what you feel? And the two merge. So when you growing up in a space where your permission, be serious, get your mind right, get like you need to focus on school. I don't have the luxury or the intent to focus on school because I'm not a thinker. I'm a feeler. It's not that I'm stupid, but there's nothing to think about that relates to what I feel. Because the education system is designed to make me cookie cutter. So I got to feel one thing. So now I'm now getting frustrated when you're trying to make me think without making me feel first, knowing that I feel first. So they make art electives. They make it all secondary shit that's really be serious. Get serious with your life. Right now, if you look at the social media landscape with content creation, all of the thinkers, all of the science motherfuckers, they losing jobs. The motherfuckers that got the degrees losing jobs, and now look who's getting them. The artists, the content creators, the people that can actually think outside the box, that can feel. And the reason why I'm saying that is because most of us, when we grow up, we're artists, we're painters, we have fun, we do shit, but we're always punished for being artistic, but rewarded for being scientific. But nobody tells us that there's a bridge between those two worlds. When you're artistic, you use art to understand how to think, how to use science. Case in point, I'm an artist. I know it seems like, Scene, I would call you a thinker. I'm an artist first. Because I feel, and I learned how to use my art early, I learned how to use my art to learn faster. You feel what I'm saying? When people be like, I learn fast, you read. No, because I know what art I'm looking for. I know what art I'm creating. I know what feeling I'm looking for, so I know how to think about it. It makes me learn faster. You feel what I'm saying? Equally, because I now make a synergy out of the shit, the things that I think about, I just make myself feel them. And it makes me learn it and absorb it faster, right? So how many people grew up? Because when my people found out that I could rap and it was deeper than, oh, you a rapper. See, that's the thing. When we start getting labels as to how we need to present our art, It fucks us up. My artistic expression is because I'm a writer. I'm a writer and I'm a wordsmith. Now, when people say, how'd your vocabulary get so big? Because I wanted to be a rapper who didn't use basic words. That's it. At the time, I was young and I was trying to be a rapper and shit, but I knew how to get my art right. So I said, I know that when it's time for me to say a word, I don't want to always say the basic shit. So let me learn more words. Now, what's the quickest way to learn words? Read the dictionary. No, that's boring. That's fucking boring. Dive into multiple fields. Because then as I'm learning, I learned about the word jargon. I learned about, like, jargon was a very powerful word for me. I think I learned it when I was like 15. And jargon is the word choices of specific fields. So it's like, if I want to know about a field, I just go into it. And that turned into thinking. That made the thinking ability kick in. So when the motherfuckers is like, yo, it's just my art, bro. I like words. I like words because I like putting them together. You feel me? That's my art, which means that there's words all around us. Every field has words. Every field has different contexts, different meanings and shit like that. So that's how I was able. Now, when I knew I wanted to make a mean punchline, you feel me? A bar that was like, I knew that I had to be creative with what I thought. So I had to know some shit. You feel what I'm saying? But then I had to still feel it to make it relate. You feel what I'm saying? And I know this seems like I'm talking about my music and all this shit. No, I'm talking about the motherfucker right now because it seems like I got off, but I didn't. The motherfucker right now who's depressed because they knew they had an artistic ability, but somebody told them they didn't have the permission to do it. Nobody ever told me I didn't have the permission to do it. They would try to say shit like, get realistic, or that's not gonna pay the bills. That's not gonna do this. You need to get you a job. You need to do this. How many motherfucking artists have heard that shit? Not, oh shit, let's figure out the way to monetize your motherfucking art. Right now, with all of the job cuts, the only people that's really eating the way they're supposed to be eating is artists. Artists. They wonder why, oh, they should have never put motherfucking the podcast in the black community. These are all artists who are finally able to be artistic. But they only have permission to be artistic vocally. The motherfuckers that everybody talking about the same shit. Don't get me wrong. Everybody, all of them are talking about the same shit, but the way in which they captivate you feel what they talking about. You see what I'm saying? Because they now have been permitted to find a way to release their art. Some of our limitations are not our abilities. They're literally our permission and what we're choosing to be obedient to. I'm a rebel, my nigga. I'm a rebel. I ain't even gonna say it like in a sense that I try to say fuck the system and shit like that. No, nigga, I know my art needs to shine. So I'm willing to do whatever it is scientifically to make sure my art shines. Didn't register to me until high school. I will be in class writing rhymes, paying attention to the lecture, but it's like, oh shit, I could make a bar out of that. I started paying more closer attention. I was always like a thinker, intelligent wise, but I know that it was about the feels. It was about, how can I make an art out of this? Can I make a joke? Can I make a pun? Can I make people laugh? When I realized those things about myself, it was always, how do you want to make people feel? You see what I'm saying? You're an artist when your focus is on feeling and what people can feel, what the world feels around you and what you feel from the world, bro. Sis, all y'all. That's how you know you're an artist. A lot of people be like, yo, I'm an empath. I feel deeply. No, you're a fucking artist and you have no release because you were told that you don't have the permission to be an artist because you have to be a scientist. You have to be a scientist. You have to take your mind and use it to think. So now you go to school and I'm daydreaming. This person, they can't focus. Now they're telling you can't focus. No, there is absolutely no feeling in this motherfucker right now. Every one of your teachers, I know you're an artist right now, but if every one of the teachers that you remember the most, that you learned the best in, they made you feel good. They tied the education into fucking feeling. You laughed, you danced, you played, and you remember that shit. You remember that shit. You don't remember nothing else. You don't remember none of the boring teachers who just made you think, because you know why? You weren't a thinker. And not in a disrespectful way, but your predisposition wasn't thought. You were one of those people whose predisposition was to be art. But art is not permitted. It is a luxury. Ironically, art is the very like art is the one thing they pay the most for because they keep the most people out of the shit. Because the moment you tap into your true art, you now know how to be artistic with your thoughts. Me becoming an entrepreneur, me be like these are all artistic expressions, y'all. Like I don't like this is really what it boils down to. I just happen to use my art to think. You feel what I'm saying? Some people think to use their art. I'm gonna keep it going because now when you look at certain realities play out, was your ability contrasted or conflicted with somebody else's permission? You were a painter. You feel me? You knew you were a painter when you were two. You knew you liked to draw when you started coloring on white walls. Nigga, you gave me a canvas and you gave me a canvas and some fucking crayons. But once you see me drawing on the wall, what you do? You beat me. Cause that's not good behavior. You're not being obedient. You punished me. You took the shit away from me. And you made me realize that my ability is wrong. The limitation now came from because you infused obedience and permission into my ability and made me despise it. A lot of times when we grow up here, yo, kids gotta be disciplined, they need to be beat. No, that's not discipline, my nigga. When you understand that discipline is being able to continually do the same thing in a repetitive place over and over again, no limitations, that's what discipline is. Consistency. You're continually doing the same thing. That's discipline. We're convinced that discipline is beating them into alignment. No, that's limitation. That's exerting power and removing permission. What we view as discipline today is exerting power and removing permission. When discipline is continually using your ability. This is why it gets hard because now we know I got to keep doing this shit over. We don't know why if I go to the gym as a kinesthetic motherfucker, I just got to keep working out, keep pushing because now I have to keep giving myself permission. You feel what I'm saying? There's certain things that have just been so infused with us as the humans, as human psyches, that we kind of fuck up our reality. We don't realize why we have limitations. Every limitation we have is either tied to obedience, permission, or ability in some way, shape, or form. Between the two words good and can't, or good and can. Wow. Wow. 4 words make up all of our limitations. Good, bad, can, and can't. Basically, two and a possible, because can and can't could be used interchangeably if you put the motherfucking apostrophe on the bitch. 4 words create our entire reality of limitations. Good, bad, can, and can't. And the perception we have behind those words. So when somebody is good, they play themselves as if they're smart because you're obedient. I ain't gonna call humans dogs. I wouldn't do that. But you're trained like one. And your training is according to obedience, not ability. So I'm gonna give you that A. I'm gonna put that star on your paper. I'm gonna make you feel good for that. And now I used to bitch about it because I used to feel like these kids were soft and shit, because they were, but I understand it a little bit more. When people be like, because in my culture, we didn't give a fuck if your paper was marked in red and it was, you know what I'm saying, you had this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. I get it now psychologically. Not even just from the color perspective, but wow, you just show me I don't have the ability to do this. Wow. Like that's what you're showing me. And I'm being told every day that I'm supposed to have the ability to do this. Not that I'm not obtaining the ability because this motherfucker, like, think about how school they call this shit a learning disability when it's really not. You can get labeled with being learning disabled when you can't learn the way they need you to learn. When that's not it, you're not even in that space. This nigga's boring. This motherfucker's boring. They suck. They don't even cater into the feeling aspect. So you can't do this. You can't pass this class. They're telling you don't have the ability to do this. Nah, you don't have the permission to do this shit if you don't do your part. You see what I'm saying? After that first time of failing, after that, you feel like you can't do something because nobody teaches you to learn from the failure. They teach you you're not supposed to fail. Because failure is what associated with bad behavior. What? No. Who the fuck created that reality? Everybody. Because that's why you feel ashamed of yourself when you fail. Taking it into the chakras, personal identity. What is the solar plexus blocked by? Shame, pride, and shame. And we wonder where narcissism comes from. Why would I be prideful? Because the same motherfuckers that would be ashamed of failing are the same people that are proud of success. It's the same shit. It's the same shit. But even deeper than that, it goes into, are you prideful does the pride of your success come from your ability, or does it come from the obedience that you get rewarded for? All you keep hearing is get into the markets, but do you trade or do you invest? Should you do stocks, forex, crypto, or NFTs? My personal answer is not a single one if you don't know how to read a chart. Without knowing how to read a chart, you end up giving all your money to those who do. Do you know what a candle is? Do you know the pocket of activity? Do you know the difference between market direction and market control? If you answer no at least once, you might want to learn how to read a chart first. Learning how to read a chart will let you know if you should trade or invest, and if you should do stocks, forex, crypto, and or NFTs. It will also let you know if this is even for you or not. So visit IamJustSeen.com to learn how to read charts with my Mastering the Market course, ebooks, and webinars today. The world is changing. The question is, will you adapt with it? When I was in undergrad, my freshman year, they were teaching us how to make portfolios and shit. Put all your accomplishments together and shit. And my teacher was like, yeah, well, my professor, I'm not gonna say teacher because she did her due diligence. But she was like, so all of the stuff you got A's for, the rewards and stuff. I said, I don't have none of that. You feel me? She was like, well, I said, I throw it away. She was like, why? And then it made her wonder, because she said, why would you throw it away? And she looked at she seen my grades, my transcript. I said, cuz why should you be rewarded for doing what you're supposed to do? Again, I'm not basing it off obedience. I'm basing it off my ability. I'm gonna do it again. Fuck the reward. Like I didn't do it for that. I did it because I can. You feel what I'm saying? When I used to say that shit, it didn't matter who I said it to. I never told motherfuckers how is that phrase disrespectful? Think about that. Think about how much disrespect is tied to the phrase, because I can. I really feel like the reason why it's disrespect was because you're acknowledging to somebody, I have permission, you don't. As opposed to saying, I have ability that I'm using. When people used to ask me, why'd you do this? Because I can. You didn't have to be rude. I wasn't rude. Like, I got the ability to do this shit. I didn't realize that they were hearing, I have permission you don't have. Don't worry about me. That's what the communication barrier is. That's what a lot of people hear. So when somebody who's been giving you permission or who has restricted you from something said, why'd you do that? Because I could. I knew that I was willing to deal with the consequences. This is where the freedom comes in Palo Cafe. You know how I always say, your freedom is the ability to continue to do whatever you want to do and deal with the consequences. And I rarely have consequences because I'm acting on ability, not permission. I'm not doing shit to piss people off. I'm not doing shit to violate rules and shit. No, this is my ability. I can do this. I'm able to do this shit. How many of us don't believe we're able to do anything? You feel what I'm saying? When I growing up in a heavily religious family and the background and our culture is like this, we don't feel like we have any abilities at all unless a deity intervenes. So now when you don't feel like you have any abilities or permission to do anything, you have no will. I had somebody tell me like, yo, your willpower is crazy, bro. Like you relentless with the shit. No, because I don't need permission. I don't ask for motherfuckers for permission, and I don't doubt my abilities. And I don't give a fuck about obedience, because the fuck does that mean? My morality is better than my goodness. Like my morality is better than my obedience. I don't give a fuck about how I made you feel about, was it beneficial, motherfucker? You feel what I'm saying? I'm not obedient to good and bad. I am bound by detriment and benefit. If this is beneficial, I don't give a fuck how you're going to feel about it. I don't care if I don't have to be good to do it. Now, granted, I know it seems like, well, I know it's teetering the waters, but It's teetering the waters in the context. I morally know that if something is going to lead to benefit, it's doable. It's something that should be done. You feel what I'm saying? It's something that should be done. I don't give a fuck how they make me feel about it on the inside about trying to make. This is where you got to understand your chakras. You can't make me feel bad about doing something that was beneficial just because you didn't like it. Or just because you didn't have the permission to do it and you were afraid. That ain't got shit to do with me. That ain't got shit to do with me. There's so many people I know that have told me, yo, I went to college because of you. I did that. You gave me permission to use my ability. You gave me permission to use my ability. Whole time, I never needed permission to use mine. So now when I walk away from some shit, you feel like, oh, damn, no, nigga, this is my ability and this is where my ability runs out. When I left med school, I had so many people saying, damn, you inspired me to go back to this shit. Like, that's the problem. Why did you leave? Because no. I didn't leave for permission, obedience. No, my abilities. Like, it was all ability. But it wasn't ability that I couldn't cut it. It was ability that I wasn't using. I was not willing to use my ability in that way. That's when it comes to detriment of benefit. You feel what I'm saying? Now, when you on that obedience tip, it doesn't matter how detrimental it is, because obediently I'm good. I'm good. Even if this conflicts with my abilities, I'm good. You feel me? When the shit that happened that got me shadow banned for 3 years, when that shit popped off, and I'm telling the shit, it's like, yo, at some point your morality has to kick in. And it's not about your obedience. Your morality literally has to kick in. Nobody's morality kicked in because they never looked at it from the perspective of benefit versus detriment. Trust science that had never been done is a very, very detrimental reality. The science is supposed to be done and chronicled and broken down before you can trust it. But with obedience, I'm going to be good and trust science that had never been done because now I am becoming an experiment. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. But when you're telling people you can't do this, it's out of permission. No, I ain't going to get to that part yet. I'm going to snug this in right quick. But when people are already programmed that good and bad is that obedience and good and bad is what makes you a good person, you do some sinister shit. If you ever get a chance, look up the Milgram experiment. Nobody got hurt, I don't think, but there's a backside of things where motherfuckers is electrocuting a man, and the people are hearing this motherfucker scream, and the doctor says, it's fine, keep pressing the button. Like, yo, every time I press it, the reaction is this motherfucker screaming. It's like, yo, he's okay, keep pressing the button. And motherfuckers keep pressing the button. They call it the white coat experiment. Because we have reached the point where we will only exert ability when permission is given to us. Fuck the morality. Fuck whatever else we hear. We are only going to be obedient conditionally to the authority figure. So these things all go hand in hand. The obedience, I'm going to be good because the permission that was given to me told me that this is the ability I'm supposed to use. Keep pressing the button that's electrocuting the motherfucker that you hear being tortured. But I did what you said. I followed the rules. Like, you can't blame me for that. How do we get in positions like that? People will really say, you can't blame me for the shit that I followed, for the rules that I followed. Because I was being good when these things are happening, and then now it's fucked with me. People be wondering why a lot of retirees are angry. Why they're mad. Because I followed everybody's permission. I was obedient to the permission given to me. And I did not use my abilities, only to find out that I have 11 to 12 years to use my abilities and I don't have the energy to do it. You'd be angry too. Y'all was angry in the rebellious teenage stage. Y'all was angry at your midlife crisis. Now you're retired. Haven't practiced a single one of your abilities yet, but you followed your permission. You followed everyone's permission and you were obedient as fuck. You put in 40 plus years. 40 plus years for a job, no raises, nothing. You got tenure because tenure is a sign of obedience. It's a reward for obedience. You were good. You've been here 10 years straight. Niggas applaud you for that. Motherfuckers applaud you for insanity. You lived the exact same day, the exact same life for 40 years. Exact same day every day for 40 years. Your kids grew up around you. Didn't even pay attention to them. But you were locked in, focused. I got to repeat this process over and over again while my abilities dwindle. Now, because I'm always fighting for permission and I'm always asking for permission and I'm always labeled, the obedience is always fucking me up and shit like that. When it's time to do my abilities, the only thing I have to do, the only way that I can exhibit my abilities is through the extreme of not doing shit. Of the extreme of the only way I'm willing to exert my ability is through the extreme of the permission and the obedience. You know why? Because it makes me feel alive. So on a regular basis, I'm always doing good shit. I'm always being a good person. I'm gonna go do some sick shit with my abilities. Not like killing and doing all that other shit. That's not what I mean. I shouldn't have said sick shit then. I mean it in the context of it's rebellious. My ability is only gonna make, like, people be wondering why, like, how do you get addicted to drugs and shit like that? Because these are the abilities that are permitted for me within this space that are still okay. As detrimental as alcohol is, you're rewarded for it. It is a good time, so they tell you. It is a good time. Motherfuckers go to a bar on a specific night, everything like that, get told the fuck back. Have memories. We have fond memories of being drunk and inebriated. Some completely detrimental shit. We have good memories of that. How is that? Why is that good? Because you were obedient to what you were permitted to do. You're permitted to go drink after a hard day of work. But you're not permitted to smoke some weed. Now you can because they legalized the shit. But you're not permitted to smoke weed. So what we're going to do is vilify that and make you a bad person. It's people right now that I know that are on prescription drugs, but then say marijuana's bad. Okay. You're the obedient type. You're the obedient type. You're good because you take the drugs they permit you to take. You're the good person because you only take the drugs that they permit you to take. Okay. I'm the moral, upstanding person. I went to do this, that, and third. You're not upstanding. You're just an obedient person. You only do what you're permitted to do. And you wonder why you have so many limitations, because sometimes what you need to do is in violation of the permission, especially in this motherfucking country. You feel me? I remember, and this is one of the things that really started to affect me in a different way. Because when I first, quote unquote, got woke and I woke up and shit and I started changing and started transforming shit, I wanted to bring it all to my people. And I thought that their limitations were my limitations, and they weren't. You'll be surprised how many things you bring to somebody off of ability and they're speaking to you about their obedience and their permission. I can't do that. Nigga, why? The fuck you mean you can't do that? It's doable, nigga. I got the plan. I got the blueprint right here. I can tell you how to do it. I can't do that. I can't do all that. And they'll justify why. You know, with the plant-based shit, when I was telling people about it, it was like, I can't do that because I have to have a piece of fried chicken, or I have to have this. I have to have this. You have to follow the food guide pyramid. Don't even know that that's what you're programmed for. They gave you that shit early on when you was a kid. Early on, programmed you early, said, this is what you're permitted to eat. This is what you're permitted to have. This is what we permit you. This is what we allow you to have. And you're good when you follow it. Not realizing that, yo, this ain't got shit to do with me. Has everything to do with the permission that we want you to follow. People be thinking permission is, nigga, do what I said. Nah, sometimes it's not as always as that. It's simple as a pull on a door. Now, this ain't to say because the door say pull, go push the motherfucker. No, that's not what I mean. But at the same time, you have to understand the ability of your reality. Like, for example, when it comes to the physical working out, right? Whenever I talk to people, when I tell them about muscle ringing, it fucks with them because they were never permitted to wring their muscles out. When I tell people about TREs, it fucks with them because they were never permitted to do TREs. And I'm going to use a specific example in which I'm talking about. I was showing somebody how I do my working out. I work out with the TREs. I mean, with the muscle ringing. And they're like, how you gonna work your biceps? Like how you gonna do your I'm like, I work all of that at the same time. They're like, how? I said, well, because I take the tension that's already built up in me from the anger, from all of the feelings that I get in it. Like, this is a quick reality for me. But all of the shit that I store on a regular basis, I take that and I trigger all my muscles at one time. I innervate them all at one time. And then I just rotate them around the joints. You feel me? It's easier for me. I could work out much longer. You feel me? I could work out much longer, get stronger faster, and I don't have to worry about that strain on my body because rather than contracting and extending and building up the lactic acid, I'm actually releasing it. And they're like, "What? Yeah, you were told that everything you have to do has to put stress on your joints. You were told every workout you have to do has to put, they'll tell you no pain, no gain. And you bought into it. Now, granted, you're growing, hypertrophy is happening. Hypertrophy isn't a good thing. You don't learn that until you actually study the body and the health side. Hypertrophy is bad. A lot of things that have hyper on them are bad in the medical world. But that's what they tell you to work out towards. So I'm explaining this to this person, and they said, well, I got to go talk to my doctor. Okay, go do that. You have to go ask for permission to do a different ability. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. Authority figures are put in place for a reason. You feel me? Rather than I'm going to learn the body to know exactly what the fuck you're talking about. And I'm just going to go ask my doctor. And if they tell me yes or no, when I was, who is it? Dick Gregory, he was saying something very powerful. Had me dying because he be keeping it 100, bruh. He be keeping it a beam. But what we were saying was, he said, yeah, when I started talking, and this happened to me, when you start talking to people about, plant-based shit, all of a sudden it's, what about protein? What about this? Like, you never question none of that shit, ever. You know what I'm saying? You never question none of that shit when somebody introduced the other shit to you. Ever. Well, I was a kid, I couldn't talk, blah, blah, blah. All right, cool. But you're old enough to question it now, you still don't. You feel what I'm saying? Even then, he said, all right, he said, you talk about herbs and the plants and all of that shit, you got to go see a doctor. He said, how many times have you seen a doctor before you snorted some cocaine? Before you just threw that bottle back? Like, think about that shit, bro. Sit with that shit for a second. Motherfuckers can tell you, I have to go consult with somebody to do something that could be beneficial to me, but I don't consult with no fucking body when I know it's detrimental. How many times have you, when you turn 21, did you go see your doctor first to say, hey, doc, I want to drink some beer? Like, no, nigga, you went to go buy that bottle. The fuck? But all of a sudden, hey, yo, it's time to get your body in order, yo, go eat. So I got to go I got to go ask my doc. I got to go get permission first to see if I can do this ability. Nope, my doctor said no. All right, nigga. Your doctor also getting paid because they told you no, nigga. I had to be on the other side to see this shit, bro. I had to be on the other side to see this shit. Like, oh, these niggas need us to give them permission because we already fucked them up as kids. As kids, we already fucked them up to say, hey, you don't have the ability to do this. So you need an intercessor. This is all things in life. Religion, education, everything. It's all based off the same thing. You need permission you need to be told that you have this ability. And if I don't tell you you have this ability, you don't. And if you try to use that ability after I told you no, you can only be bad with it. This is one of the reasons why when you walk away from religion, people think you automatically worship the devil. Because the obedience is, if I'm doing what's told and you're choosing not to, you have to be bad. No, I'm exerting my ability to think, my nigga. Most of the people that are in whatever spaces they're in, they're not thinking. They just following the permission of what was told. Ask them. Ask them. That's why it's like, I had somebody ask me one time, they was like, so what do you do for morality? Bitch, I'm a good person. The fuck is you talking about? Like, shorty was like, yo, because I was talking about, yo, I'm not a Hebrew. I'm none of that shit, bro. I'm not. She was like, I said, I don't follow religion. I don't need to. And again, I'm speaking on ability. This person is speaking off permission. And she's speaking off permission and obedience. So she asked me, so how do you maintain morality? How don't you? Like the fuck, it's not hard to be moral. Like, come on, bro. It's like it's y'all act like it's some kind of mystical thing that you're just naturally evil people. No, it's a decision and a choice. I said, well, simple. I treat people how I want to be treated. Like that's even in the book. But you telling me you needed the book to tell you that? No, I didn't have to get punched to know it hurts. I don't have to get punched to know it hurts and then have to punch people to know that I can hurt people. No, like once I got it. I got it. I know what hurts me. Therefore, I can anticipate what's potentially going to hurt another motherfucker. You feel me? Based off of my ability. I don't need I don't need to be obedient to be good. The fuck? But again, when you program to be obedient to be good, your obedience, when you tie goodness to obedience, your morality is determined by who punishes you. That's a powerful sentiment. When you determine your goodness by your obedience, your morality is determined by who is punishing you. Because who is punishing you is giving you permission, telling you what you can and can't do. You feel what I'm saying? And they're telling you from the permission while they're stripping your ability. Like, we live in such a fantastic world that black people cannot do anything off of ability without the devil successfully. Like, once you reach a certain point, you sold your soul to the devil. Nigga, how you know? Was you at the auction, nigga? Was you there when the motherfucker put the bid up and bought it? No. You're saying my abilities. Now, again, you have to ask yourself why you think this way. Why are my abilities at such a level that you think a devil has to intercede in order for me to be at this point? Because you have already been programmed to know that you don't have the permission to use your abilities to that capacity. So anything that uses its ability has to be the devil, has to be the demonic, because I can't do that. You can't do it by permission, not by ability. You just chose not to. You feel what I'm saying? When I look at how people approach life, everything is permission based. None of it is ability. I'm like, yo, this is one of the things that you have to understand about motivational speakers. This is why they work so well. They're telling you about your abilities, but you're hearing the permission to do so. That's why after the conversation is over, after the little motivational event, your shit dies down in 3 days. Because now you go back to the other motherfuckers that don't give you the permission to do so. You have to keep coming back. The motivational speaker, what they're telling you, nigga, is you have the ability to do it. I'm not giving you permission. I'm telling you, you got the ability. Now you have the ability to do something with the ability. But when we hear permission so much, we like, okay, now let me just be obedient and then I should be good. No, it don't work like that. This is why a lot of entrepreneurs fail, because they come into the entrepreneur space so they don't have permission anymore. Oh, nigga, you got permission. You got permission. Motherfuckers gonna tell you what to do. I don't want to work for nobody. I don't want nobody to tell me what to do. I want to work for myself. No. I want to maximize. Understanding entrepreneurship is understanding this point. This is a transitional phase that I had to learn, because a lot of things was when you working in a job and you're always permitted for the reward. Like, you good, especially when you're a good worker. On the entrepreneur space is all off of your ability. So something that I had to learn that I was transitioning to was, like, when I very first started, it was, excuse me, I have to continually exert my ability. I don't have to continually seek permission. When you got to be told to set up an ad, when you got to be told to put your shit in front of somebody, and then when somebody can tell you no, like, for example, when people say, you as a starting entrepreneur shouldn't show your brand so much. Nigga, why? Tell me why. Oh, I'm tired of seeing it. It's spam. All right, bye-bye, nigga. My ability shows me what I have to do to make this work. I don't give a fuck about your feelings, because then now that's obedient to who's good. This is why a lot of people start off so strong and they end because, oh, my family don't support me. The people that I've always been obedient for are not showing up for me. You know why? Because you're not listening to you're not following their permission. You're not taking their permission. We be thinking it's advice. No, nigga just gave you permission. You can do this. You should be able to do this, this, and the third. No, they're not talking to your ability. You know why? Because your ability is going to show that they're lacking theirs. I see it all the time. I'm not mad at it because I understand. I don't look at it and say, y'all motherfuckers is haters. Y'all motherfuckers is shit. Y'all motherfuckers is waiting on permission that I ain't asked for. And that's fine. Y'all are waiting on permission that I ain't asked for because I'm tapping to the abilities that don't require me to need permission. This is one of the reasons why you're waiting on the shoe to drop in life as a whole. Your limitations. This is one of the reasons why a part of the limitation thing is why you're waiting on your shoe to drop. Because you've been told, you tied your abilities to your permission for so long. Nobody's told you, and when nobody's told you to do something and you're doing it anyway, you have that innate fear that you're gonna fuck it up. And guess what you do? You fuck it up. Don't fuck it up because it's some cosmical thing, because your decisions make you fuck it up because you're not using your ability correctly. So when you like, oh, I'm waiting on the shoe to drop. I'm waiting on the shoe to drop, because usually when I do what I want to do according to my ability, I fuck up. You know why you fuck up? Because you don't learn before you do the shit. That's why the shoe drops. Because you just going against the permission that was spoken against you. You're rebelling. So you're not actually preparing yourself to actually exert your ability. You're just trying to violate the permission. You see what I'm saying? The shoe don't drop when you're operating from your ability, but you prepared and you do the same thing over and over again. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline isn't a punishment, y'all. Discipline is not a punishment. But when you believe discipline to be a punishment based off of the fact that you always violated somebody's permission and you weren't obedient, you think discipline is a bad thing. It's not. It's not. It's continually and consistently using your ability, whatever that ability is. You see what I'm saying? And this is how we lose sight of the full reality of the growth of ourselves as people. And this is how our limitations are imposed on us. Ask a motherfucker right now. It's like, yo, I always, and motherfuckers always tell you, I always wanted to do this. In my mind, I thought I had the ability to do it, but I just never got the permission. You feel me? Like I said, I love my mama to life, but I only listen if it went with my ability. It just so happened that I say this phrase and I mean it, and this is what I mean by that shit. When I did my album like years ago, my first one and shit, where I was trying to do it myself. I'm gonna tie this into the situation with the art and all of this shit too. But I wrote a line that said, I live how I want, not how I should. Just be glad that how I want to happens to be how I should. Feel me? I'm a good person because I'm a good person, not because I want something from you, not because I'm gonna need a reward and shit. Like motherfuckers be, when it comes to relationships and women and shit, it's like, yo, I'm waiting on you to switch up. No, because I really like your goofy ass. Yeah, I'm saying goofy to be dramatic and shit, but yeah, I really like you. I've decided on you. This isn't you're not a choice or an option to me. You're a decision. There's different, like my ability is what aligned us together. You feel me? Now, the reason why we fuck up, the reason why relationships often fuck up, especially when it comes to women, because they go and seek permission from other people. Should I talk to this man? Should I do this, that, and the third? Should I go to the next level with him? Men don't have we don't have the conversations about permission. We don't have the conversations about, now we have to maintain the obedience, but we're not looking for permission to go to the next level. We just go. You see what I'm saying? Women sit in powwows and, ooh, girl, he said this. Don't permit that. You can't permit him to do this. You can't, like, how we all got universal red flags if we ain't under the same permission? Which means that we all following the same ability that ain't ours. You feel what I'm saying? And learning that makes it difficult, but it makes it easier to deal with relationships. When I'm, talking to women and shit, it's like, I know you got to get out of your permission first. You still think you need permission to fuck with somebody like me. And you don't, and you can't, because what's going to happen is, oh, well, I'm religious, I'm this, that, and the third. We're not going to work. You never know. We can know, because I live off of ability. You live off of permission. It's levels to it. And I'm not shitting on you. I'm not trying to make it seem like we're gonna have an issue. No, you're gonna have the issue. I can come around your family. I could be around your family. I could be around these, but they can't fuck with me. And in turn, eventually, they're gonna start fucking with you because they're gonna say you're being disobedient. You don't have the permission to fuck with somebody like that. Fuck the fact that, yo, he's really not doing anything crazy. One thing that fucks with people is that, and this is when it comes to the religious side of it, they see like, how do you not fuck with this shit and you speak against it and you know, because it's like, I don't believe in it because I understand it. And I understand it because my ability didn't require permission nor obedience to explore it. And because of that, people are in a whirlwind looking at me like, he's what do you like? How am I not getting what he's getting? And I'm obedient and following the permission. That's why. You're not supposed to have what I have because you're not willing to use the abilities that I use. I'm able to deal with my consequences. And because I'm able to deal with my consequences, I'm not afraid of the consequences that I create. So therefore, I prepare properly. So a lot of the times that you see the consequences unfold, they're not that bad. And I can make better adjustments. But when you don't prepare and I need permission to do this, and you just do the shit, that's what the fuck happens. So when it comes to the relationships and a lot of the realms that I'm in, I had to respect that and understand that shit. You still need permission to love. I don't. I need ability to do it. Because it's a continual process, on and on and on. You need to know that you're going to get the approval of the people around you. You need to know that the people are going to still feel you as obedient and still see you as a good moral person or whatever the case. They never saw you like that. They saw you as an obedient motherfucker who knew what they were. My mom used to always say, when we were young, when she got a call home, she knew who was who. She said, because I know my children. You know which children are going to be obedient, which ones ain't. That's not necessarily knowing your children, but that's knowing the enforcement that you have on your children. You see what I'm saying? My mom was like, yeah, when I used to get calls for you, I knew you was either talking too much or that's really what it was for you. You was talking too much. Now, when I got the calls for you fighting, I knew that you was really fighting. It was something that now when my siblings, they got like, you was just mad, bro. You just wanted to do something, exert your power and shit. But it's like you knew who was going to obey you. Did you really know who that person was? And I say that because it's like our culture is built this way. Society is built this way. We don't know our children. We don't know people. We know who's obedient and who's not. This is why when you buy somebody some shit and you be like, it's the thought that count. Nah, you supposed to obey what I'm saying and be happy that I got it for you. Forgetting the fact that you didn't even acknowledge my abilities and if I would even want this shit. So you see how limitations, now you can't tell a motherfucker no. You can't, this is why you can't tell a motherfucker no, because you might need that permission again. You feel me? When you tell a motherfucker no, you're being disobedient. Bitch, this conflicts with my ability. I'm not about to put myself in no fucked up situation for your goofy ass because you think I'm a good. Oh, this is why people, again, this is how we get into spiteful people and people pleasers. People always saying yes because I'm obedient. I'm a good person. It's going to make me a good person. You still getting shitted on and stepped on. You know why the universe keeps violating you? God, Allah, Jehovah, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Yeshua, and you keep thinking it's people? No, it's this is happening to you because of you. Because you're trying to be obedient instead of trying to be. You're being obedient to permission that conflicts with your abilities. That's why you're miserable. That's why you're angry. That's why you're mad. And that's why you have to, after you've done it for so long, I've been good for so long now, but no, you've been obedient for so long and you were never able. That's crazy. You shut down your abilities a long time ago to be obedient. And that's what gave you your limitations. That's why you're limited. And that's why you can't find the right friends. That's why you're not in the right circles, because you need to be around people that follow permission. That you need to be around people that need permission to follow obedience and want to only be good. I don't want to be good in this world. I don't want to be right. I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be none of that shit. I want to be beneficial and I want to be detrimental. I want to be beneficial and I don't want to be detrimental. However that looks in relation to my abilities, I don't need permission for that shit. When I looked at this world and I said, hey, dog, my kids are going to suffer if I don't make a change. I didn't need permission from nobody. When I realized I ain't going to be able to finish med school, I'm not going to be able to do this shit and be able to build the generational wealth and all this shit. I knew that. I didn't need permission from nobody. And suddenly I was no longer obedient anymore. I heard it all. I heard it all from I got a reprobated mind to I'm a devil worshiper to everything because I don't give a fuck about permission or being obedient. I understand what detriment and benefit is. And I'd be damned if I allow my children to go through detrimental shit. I'd be damned if I allow my grandchildren to go through I'd be damned if I continue to allow my bloodline to go through detrimental shit simply because they're waiting on permission to be good. What kind of sense does that make? How many of us are right now probably programmed wired? Like this episode has probably got you on some shit right now because how many of us are wired, programmed solidly to say, I will do this once I have permission. Some of us, we be thinking we procrastinating because we lazy. No, we haven't gotten the permission to work yet. And for some of us, the permission doesn't come until we get closer to the deadline. You feel me? When I was in undergrad, when I really wanted to do the project, soon as the motherfucking professor assigned the shit, I had that shit done the next 2 days. Dude, it's not due until the middle of the semester. I know, but I wanted to do it. But now those people that wait and they procrastinate is because I need permission. I need motivation. You don't need motivation. You need permission and you don't even know it. You need somebody to tell you to do this shit. You know how limiting that is to your mind, to your capacity, to your psyche, to you, to your essence as a person? You need somebody to tell you to do the shit. You need the permission for that. And now you don't even know if whether or not you do it is going to be, you're going to be obedient to it and get the A and be good, or you're going to be bad. This is what they meant when we was in school and they said, when y'all get to the real world, it's going to be like, no, in the real world, it's going to be the same shit. You're going to be following and looking for permission from everything around you, and you're not going to get it. Nobody's going to tell you this is what you need to do. Like when I was in undergrad, one of my favorite professors, if not my favorite professor, she asked us a question and nobody knew it. And so she broke down how to, when she broke this down for me, I promise y'all, bro, this is one of the things that turned me into a whole different scholar. Like this is why I like going down rabbit holes now, because of her. She asked the question, I answered the question based off of what I saw in the book in that moment. She's like, so what chapter are we on? So as we breaking it down, she was like, all right, so what does this mean? I was like, I don't know, I didn't see that. She was like, that's because that's in another chapter. Well, you didn't tell us to read that chapter. That's literally what I said. You didn't tell us to read that chapter. She said, I shouldn't have had to told you to read that chapter if you needed clarity on this particular topic. Once she said that, I said, bro, luckily I was, like I said, I didn't really study much, so I didn't have any study plans, but this really changed my life when she said this, because she was like, you don't need permission to learn more. What are you still waiting on permission for? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't understand what this is, don't skip it. A lot of us do that shit. When we don't understand what something is, we go right over it because we haven't been given the permission to go forward. It's so subtle that it wires down. And I'm not saying it from the perspective, oh, well, that's just you in undergrad. No, that's a lot of us. If the motherfucker ain't on the syllabus, we not doing it. If the This is one of the things I always talk about pissing me off. When I was in undergrad, people would be complaining about the test. They would be like, the test wasn't like the study guide. What, nigga? It was covering chapters 3, 4, and 5. Nigga, what you mean? But the test won't like the study guide. He didn't give us permission to look beyond what we were given. The obedience said, if I just fuck with the study guide, I should pass. No, you have to learn the material from chapters 3, 4, and 5, nigga. What do you mean? They look at me like, and then they look at me like I'm crazy. How did you pass? Nigga, I knew chapters 3, 4, and 5. Fuck the study. Did you not read? No, he gave us the study guide. This was the permission he gave us to pass the test. You use the ability to pass the test. I know. I don't get what y'all, and I was confused. I used to get frustrated. Like, how are y'all mad that the test is not like the study guide when he gave us the material? He gave us the syllabus. We had weeks ahead to plan. You knew what the test was going to cover, what chapters and shit was on it. It hit me in that moment when my professor told me that. She was like, you don't need somebody to tell you to clarify something for you. Like, you don't need somebody to tell you that you need clarity. That's wild. When you really believe that you need somebody to clarify something for you, what does that say about you internally? So you hear me ask this question a lot, and now I guess this question could be answered here. When did you know that you finally became an adult? And I feel like that answer now is when you no longer needed permission and you weren't trying to be obedient and you relied on your abilities. That's what it is to be an adult. Some of us are not doing the things that we need to do because we're still waiting on permission. We're waiting on somebody to tell us, hey, you can do it. Good job. Way to go, champ. You feel me? We're waiting for permission to be obedient so we can be rewarded, as opposed to using the ability and saying, fuck it, because your crowd's going to cheer for you regardless. Your crowd is going to cheer for you regardless. If you keep waiting and you keep procrastinating, you keep putting it off saying, I'll do this later. I'll do this later. I'll do this later. Later's never going to come. You know why? Because the permission doesn't come. This isn't something you have to be permitted to do. A lot of people, I be talking to them like, it's because you're Aries. It has nothing to do with being the Aries, bro. I know Aries that still do this shit. It's because I use my ability and I don't wait on my permission. I don't ask for permission for shit. I don't even ask for forgiveness anymore because now I'm not doing shit to violate you. If you mad that I did some shit because your permission doesn't allow you to see otherwise, you got to realize who you are. Don't condemn who I am because of who you're not. You see what I'm saying? When I was growing up, like I hear a lot of people say shit like, that's not my ministry. That's not my ministry. Well, what is your ministry? I don't know. It hasn't been revealed to me. I haven't been given the permission to do anything except obey. So even when I'm obeying, my ministry is not revealed to me. Like, come on, there's something's wrong with that picture. Because your ministry is your abilities. What abilities do you have? I don't know. That ain't my ministry though. That ain't my ministry. Okay, well, whose ministry is it? Whoever's speaking it. How do you know that ain't that? That's their ministry for real. They chose to say, fuck the permission. I'm gonna use this ability. This is why the motherfucking they be calling them false prophets and shit. Cause a false prophet doesn't have the ability to actually do what they're doing. But nobody else wanted to do it. So I took it. So I took up the mantle because I was given the permission to do so. And as long as I play the role and I be obedient, I'm good. Until the shoe fall eventually. But at the same time, when that's your ability, the shoe can't fall. Because it's not in you to make the shoe drop. It's not in you to do shit to go against yourself. But how often do we let shit go against us? Like, this is where our limitations are, y'all. These are what limitations are. People be thinking there's some mystical things that you got to shatter and break through. It's your abilities. The barrier for your ability is the fact that you think you need permission to be able. The fact that you think your ability and your quality, the quality of your ability is based off your obedience. Not off of your ethic, not off of what you actually done and what you actually put in. It's different, bro. It's different. Damn, I'm glad this episode came because this shit really got me thinking. It got me forgiving a lot of people. It got me looking at a lot of people different because it's like, you're not talking to me about my ability. You're talking about me about your permission. It ain't that I got to listen to you. I ain't got to but I know that you're speaking from your position. When people be like, how come every time I say something or I ask you a question about something, you always so optimistic? It ain't optimistic. I only rely on my ability. I don't need permission from no motherfucking body. The fuck? Because I'm willing to deal with the consequences that come with the abilities that I use. And because I use my abilities so frequently, I have no limitations. There's nothing that's going to stop me because I'm not limited by anything. If I learn, like I say, you lose, you regroup, you recoup. That's it. You learn from the losses, and you learn from the losses as the means to get it. And this is one of the things that petrify people. They learn so much before, and they still need permission. It's like, what are you waiting for? Like, what the fuck are you waiting for? You have everything you need. Why are you so afraid? Because I'm waiting on permission. From who? From what? Your abilities gave you the permission the moment you decided to go into this realm. You didn't just put in all that work to gain all of the due diligence, to learn all that shit. You need permission, but we still playing off in this role and we need permission now. We got to apply the jobs for them to say yes. We have to do everything is tied off of, are you permitted to do so? Fuck if you're actually able to do the shit. You feel me? Because now it fucks with you. This is why you be like, well, this person, they can't even do their motherfucking job. I need to be doing that. They took the permission. What ability do you have? What ability have you put in? I'm obedient enough. I can follow rules. I can do that shit. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But do you have the ability to do it? Because if not, your ability to follow rules and honor the permission that somebody gave you is what's going to keep you limited through the rest of your life. And don't forget to check out Polycafe Clothing, formerly Just Scenes merch. Get all of your intricate designs crafted specifically for the melanated being to develop a positive imagery within self and to have a little bit of fun in the process. From the peace, love, knowledge, and freedom to the dead horses and water designs, all of the styles are crafted for the imagery to make you feel as you're supposed to feel. Because as I always say, the best way to fit in is to stand out. And what better way to stand out than with your exclusive styles from Polycafe Clothing. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. Yeah, man, that's limitations. I know I didn't mention the word limitation so much because I wanted to put the foundation on what causes our limitations. I don't even think a lot of us really think about that shit. We've been waiting like since kids. A lot of us shut down because, like I said, and I want to spin it back and revisit the art side so I can end that and I can close that loop. A lot of us are depressed because we're artists and we're not able to use our abilities. It's not like on some mystic like it's not some it is psychological and shit over time, but it's not like some shit that's hard to pinpoint. You don't have permission to do what you really want to do. Even deeper than that, you don't have permission to do what you're yearning to do. Even deeper than that, you don't have permission to do what you know you're able to do. You ever looked at somebody and this is why this is why jealousy is so potent. Jealousy is love and hate at the same time. You get jealous of people who are using your ability in a way that doesn't satisfy you. Jealous people are using your ability in a way that doesn't satisfy you, but you don't have the permission to use your ability, and they do. I know. That shit hit, didn't it? It hit different, didn't it? People be jealous because you're jealous of somebody because they're using your ability and you don't have the permission to use your ability. You know you'll be better than them. You know you'll completely show the fuck out, but you haven't been given the permission because you gotta behave. You gotta be obedient to something. You gotta be all these things. And this is not a religion or a deity or whatever the case may be. Whatever. This could be your parents. This could be anything. You feel me? You're not allowed to exhibit your art or do what you feel on the inside. You're not allowed to do what your abilities are. And you're watching somebody with minimal skills. Complete, do your thing because they got the permission to do it and you didn't. You know how many times do you hear people say, "Yo, I'm just waiting on a green light"? Nigga, what green light? This an open field, bro. Like, what green light you waiting on? Permission. Now, you have to consider that there still has to be the balance between when it's time to proceed with your ability and not. You feel me? Because you know when you're prepared to do something. You know when you're prepared to do something. Sometimes you just keep psyching yourself out, revisiting the shit. Am I ready? You're asking yourself, who's gonna? You think a lot of times you not think you're ready because you waiting for somebody outside of you to say you're ready. Go. This is why we need motivational speakers. This is why we need preachers. This is why we need tarot readers. This is why we need astrologers. This is why we need all these things, because we need somebody through all of the conditioning of the permission that we need. We need somebody to tell us it's okay to go. You're good. You're okay. You're good. Now use that word good again, tying it back into obedience. Like, the fuck? Nah. Like, you waiting is what's keeping you, like, you need that. For example, I'm going to use myself as an example, and I'm going to start trying to wrap this up. Right? I recently just bought a new laptop. Right? My old one died. Right? My old one died. What was keeping me from, I should have bought the laptop a long time ago. Like, when I say a long time ago, I mean a long time ago. Let me describe my laptop to you. I've had my laptop for 13 years. They say average laptop only lives 4. Makes sense. Processors change and everything. This bad boy's been rocking with me since rocking. 6 gigabyte RAM. At the time when I bought that, that was fast as shit. Nigga, you got a 6 GB RAM, bro? What? 2011, a 6 GB RAM is fast, bro. 8 GB RAM wasn't even popping yet. All of the processors and the shit that I need now needs a minimum of 8. You feel me? And it's been this way for a minute, right? OG been kicking, OG been rocking. But you know what I said? I don't have the permission to go get one. I got the ability to get a new laptop. I got that shit. I have the ability to go get the new laptop, but I didn't have the permission. Why? Because my shit's still rocking. My shit's still rocking. OG said, bro, I can't do it no more. OG said, bro, I can't do it no more, bro. This is the end. This is the end, bro. I can't push this shit no fucking more. No fucking more. And I started to realize it because I was not I was mixing the song for one, and it kept glitching, kept popping. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? It's overloaded. I got too many instruments in it. I got too much shit and too many effects on the shit. Then I'm trying to clip this video where I'm making doing my videos and shit. And as I'm doing my videos, now this is like a 4K video I'm using. Well, not a 4K. Well, no, it was a 4K 24 video from my iPhone. So I'm trying to upload this shit, and like this motherfucker, it said it's gonna take 5 minutes to render. It took 35. I said, damn, OG, damn. But then I sat back and I was like, all right, I gotta go get a laptop. And it ties into this episode because it was like the permission was wait until this was done. Not the fact that times have changed and you need one. You've had the same laptop. Now, mind you, I've had the same laptop since 2011. That's 13 years, my nigga. It's 13 years. The same laptop since 2011. And it's through all of the changes, the graphics change. I never changed, never upgraded. I would, when the motherfucker would get real slow, what I do is I wipe the hard drive clean, take out what didn't need to be taken out, restart that motherfucker. Right? But now it's at a point where it's like, all right, cool. I needed that permission. And a lot of times this is one of the things that is now tying to this and to entrepreneurship and this episode. I needed that permission because I bought that laptop way before I even became an entrepreneur. So certain things were still, now as an entrepreneur, when it's time, now when I got to that point where I was like, yo, when it's done, it's done. I don't need the permission. I mean, this is what needs to be next. I was still tied to that mindset of needing permission. You feel me? Now, don't get me wrong. When I talk about I never asked for permission or shit like that, I had to. So that's how I know this thing is ingrained in me. But there's a lot of things that we won't move forward in life because we're waiting on permission. We're waiting on the absolute rock bottom, waiting for absolute everything to fall apart before we can say we got to do this. Sometimes you got to be prepared ahead of time. And here's where my rationale was with that. Because a couple of nights before I even decided to get the laptop, my shit flashed blue. Now, mind you, let me just describe the motherfucker to you, right? So my little mouse pad don't work. I had to get a USB mouse. So my mouse pad don't work. The bitch don't work. So much so that my fucking fan, it's like it's been overheated so much that it now cracked where the mouse pad is and lifted it up. I can't press the bitch down. It's like, yo, the motherfucker been through the ringer, bro. It looks like a used laptop. And I don't know if it's refurbished. No, it look like, nigga, you used it all the way till it can't be used anymore. And as I'm looking at it, I'm like, what would happen if it doesn't come back on? How important is permission when it doesn't come back on again? Mind you, I have gym sessions. I have fucking brand identities. I have fucking books. I have med school material still because I know motherfucker. Oh, I got all of that shit still. I got all my med school books, all of that shit. I still have so much shit up there. What if it doesn't come back on? This is what I mean when I say there has to come a point where your ability transcends the permission because you're not worried about being good or bad. You're worried about being beneficial or detrimental. Detrimentally, yeah, it'd be good to wait to the very end and say, and I use the laptop example as a little bit dramatic and shit like that to show, because this is a real reality that I had to experience. But how many times in life have you been waiting on permission for some shit that you shouldn't be waiting on permission for? Because by the time you get permission, it's too late. A lot of our limitations and a lot of the things that block us in life are solely because we're waiting on somebody to tell us to use our abilities when our abilities have already told us to be they need to be used. You don't need the permission to do what you know that you need to be doing. And it doesn't matter who's gonna because I felt like, yo, if I get this new laptop now and shit, I gotta make sure that, you know what I mean? Like, what? No, no, no. Because what's gonna happen if this motherfucker don't come back on? And you gotta start from scratch. Like, you don't have I got a whole brand folder that has everything hitting it raw. My manuscripts for So Frail, my manuscripts for Hitting It Raw, my masters for my music, my beats, all of that shit. Everything is there. My merch designs, my individual my final cuts for all of my merch designs and everything, like all of that is there. If this motherfucker does not come back on, what do I do? I say that to say this. You waiting on permission is your limitation. You trying to be good based off of the obedience of whoever is your limitation. And your ability already told you to green light it. Your ability already gave you the green light. What green light are you waiting for? If I wait on the green light for a new laptop because you don't get a new one until the old one's gone, if I wait on a green light for that, what do I lose? Sit and ask yourself these questions. The things that you know you're supposed to be doing, that you procrastinating on, that you waiting on because you think you need permission. What's gonna happen if you get the permission too late? Matter of fact, recap life. How many times have you gotten the permission too late? Damn, yo, if I would have just already been investing. Investing is what happens when you get the permission too late. Investing, trust me, my nigga. Investing and trading is what happens when you get the permission too late. Because by the time you get the permission, they've already changed the direction. They're not going that way no more. They're not going that way no more. Now, when you analyze life, the things that you know, this is my ability is here. I know so many people who met me and it's like, yo, I didn't know how creative I was. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You just never had the permission, and somehow you allowed me to give you that permission. Because now that if I'm not in your life anymore, you feel me? And you relied on me to motivate you. Like when people say, yo, you motivate me, you inspire me, don't let me be that. Your ability should have already did that to you. You should have an insatiable appetite to exert your ability. Why don't you? Because you need permission to do so. Because when you tried to as a kid, it was silenced. When you wanted to as a kid, it was silenced. And now that you're no longer quote unquote a kid, you still need that permission though. You still gonna go seek advice. You be thinking you seeking advice from motherfuckers when you just getting permission. Tell me I can do this. You've already broken it down 22 times in your head and you wrote it down on paper. You know what your plan is. You can go talk to a motherfucker who's gonna say, I wouldn't do that if I was you. Because if I was you, I wouldn't have the permission because I don't know what your ability is. I'm basing it off my ability. When people tell me what they would do in my shoes, you was a motherfucking lie. I know what you would do in my shoes, what I'm doing now, because they're my shoes. Because you would have to do it through my ability. You have to do what I'm doing through my ability, not yours. And your ability is gone because you need permission. You see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? When I was working as account manager and shit, I ranked up for a lot of people because I was like, oh, these are my abilities. I don't need your permission. I used to have, homies when I was trying to run them up the ranks. They were like, yo, I'm just going to wait on my permission. I got to wait my turn, be patient. I took it. You had no choice but to promote me. The fuck? Here's my ability, nigga. I'm not waiting on your permission to use my ability to get what I need to get. You see what I'm saying? And in life, I had to realize that, like, you come into a space where you start to watch people and you're like, oh, they need permission. They need somebody to tell them. They need some kind of, people be thinking validation is bad. People need validation. Validation is cool. People need validation for being obedient. But before they can even be obedient, they need permission to act. Some people stopped getting permission when they were 18 years old. Some people never had permission to do anything, but they've been told that they still had to wait for permission. Do what I told you, do what I tell you and shit like that, and constantly growing up and never being able to use their own ability. Then you have some motherfuckers that say, yo, fuck that. I'm going to do what I want to do. They're called rebellious. They call this, but they hop into this space out of spite. because I'm not being rewarded for the obedience that I'm doing, so I might as well be bad. You hear kids say it all the time. You hear people that were bad in school say this shit all the time. You feel me? That's the only way I got attention. Look at social media now. Look at social media now. I finally get attention. Fuck if the obedience leads me to goodness or badness. I finally get attention, my nigga. So that's all the permission I need. You feel me? They're going to follow the right people to make them say, hey, do this. Hey, do this. Hey, you should do this. And they're going to go do it. I'm good at going viral. I like doing it. It's fun, really. But now I know how to exploit the shit. But now I'm understanding what I'm exploiting. A lot of the shit that I say to people, they're like, who, a word, or this, that, and the third, is because I'm giving you permission to let that ability out. I've been doing that shit a lot. But now that I'm truly tapping in, I'm really going to start expressing it. Like, it's not that I'm giving you the ability to, I'm not giving you the permission to use your ability. I'm showing you that I don't ask for permission with mine. And neither should you. It's yours. Like, whatever it is that you believe in, the universe, God, Allah, Jehovah, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, you think it really puts you on this earth to ask humans for permission? Like, really ask yourself that fucking question. It created you in its image and likeness, gave you a divine gift. Everybody has a divine gift. I don't give a fuck what you say. The reason why you don't use your divine gift, because your divine gift comes natural to you. It comes so natural to you, you don't need permission to get better. You don't need permission to do it. All you have to do is continually do it. But because you're so wired to needing permission from programs, from humans, that programs too, but you need permission from humans and shit, that you're now programmed to have to wait to use your gift. And this is why you like, yo, I don't know if the deity is present. I don't know if this and that, because now you start to live a life that's far away from your abilities and solely aligned with your permission and your obedience, which is now creating your limitations. All those shoulda, coulda, wouldas, if I was this when I was younger, if I would have had this opportunity, it doesn't matter how many opportunities you would have had. You had the ability the whole motherfucking time. The opportunities would have came. Your ability would have created the opportunities. Doesn't the word say your gift will make room for you, or you'll open doors for you, or some shit like that? But you need permission to use the motherfucker. You need permission to use the motherfucker. And if you use the motherfucker the way it's supposed to be used, you might not be obedient no more. You see what I mean? Shit dangerous. Our limitations are created by our distinction between good, bad, can, and can't. And whether or not we are going to be able or have the ability to use or do we adhere to permission and obedience, or do we leverage our actual skill set and ability? That's why I always say when people be like, yo, hitting the raw wasn't professional. By what standard? Permission or ability? Because you can't deny my skill set and my abilities. If you're talking about professional from that perspective, cool. Now, if you're talking about behavior, obedience, who's going to like it, who's going to appeal, I didn't do that for them niggas. I didn't do that for them. I did it for the people who need to understand this shit, who want to understand it from a simpler perspective. I don't give a fuck about none of that stupid shit. Oh, you didn't sound smart. Bitch, I sounded right. The fuck? It doesn't matter. This is a perfect example. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to really wrap it up. This is a perfect example of the benefit and detriment. Hitting it raw is a perfect example of benefit and detriment. Detrimentally, it's very beneficial, but it's bad. Because I use profanity in the motherfucker. You feel me? I use references from rap songs and shit like that to make people try to. But everybody that has read that book were able to catch it. As opposed to the motherfuckers who are good, they write with the medical words, they use polysaccharides and all the shit that you can't understand. That's going to intimidate you from even understanding whether you can do this or not. You feel me? And now you think that you've gotten the permission that's too complex for you to follow. And it sounds bad for you because you can't transition. I studied all of these vegan books. I studied all these plant-based books. I studied the nutrition. I studied the science and all of that shit behind it. And I knew, nigga, I don't even want to study this shit. And I'm a scientist. You feel me? So I know that somebody else trying to transition ain't gonna want to do it either. When they just a regular lay person, no, fuck that. So let's make it for the lay people. I'm gonna talk to It's not professional. By behavior, not by skill set. I'm raw with this shit. You feel me? Because I tapped into my abilities and I stopped using permission to wait for to use my abilities. You need to stop doing that shit too. Bruh, sis, all y'all. Your abilities ain't gonna do shit for you if you need permission to use them. They're your abilities, bro. Now you have to cultivate them in a way in which you can use them for benefit, right? Because if not, you're gonna use them for detriment. Why? Because you're in your rebellious, spiteful stage. Fuck obedience. I'm just gonna be mad because I'm always being good and don't nobody do nothing for me. Get out of that shit. Get out of that shit. But then understand that all of this shit is just limitations. And this is how easy it is to shatter through your limitations. Understand that you don't need permission and you don't necessarily have to be good to be able. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead in there. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And our kids, you got a head start. You got a head start. Your babies know the difference between your permission and their abilities early. You feel me? I had a homie once. He was excited too. Like we at work is when I was selling cars and shit. He showed me a picture of his son. He's like, "Yo, my son could do a backflip." I was like, "Okay." He said, "Nah, you don't understand." He was about to do it. I said, "No, you're gonna hurt yourself." He said, "Daddy, I got this," and he just did it, and he did it right. And I was like, "Wow." He said, "Man, I was so proud because I was like, and I was so excited, but it's like that was something I could never do, and he just did it." Again, it's something a nugget that planted and took root with me, so I can understand things later. It's like, yeah, you you were trying to give him permission not to use his ability. I didn't say that to him then because I didn't even know this shit. I was like 22, but wow, 11 years ago. Wow, 22, 33. But anyway, I'm like, you tell him you're giving him permission to not use his ability. You're going to hurt yourself. No, you would hurt yourself if you were me. Your abilities will cause you to hurt yourself doing what I'm doing. You need to watch what I'm doing and see how I'm doing it so you can guide me into doing it better. That's what you're supposed to do as a guide, as a leader, as a parent, whatever the case may be. No, motherfuckers want you to come to them for permission. When my homies, when they book sessions and shit, they be like, "Is that right?" You tell me. I'm giving you the resources. You show me how your ability is supposed to draw on this. I can't do it for you. Don't ask me for permission to let you know that you should do this. Don't ask me for permission for this. Here's the resource. Use the ability that you already have to make the resource functional. That's what we need to do with our babies, bro. Guide them the ability. Show them in the way they should go. Their abilities are the roadmap. You feel me? People be like, your parenting don't come with a manual. It does, nigga. The child's abilities are the manual. You understand that concept. Parenting becomes a breeze. I learned that concept through fucking entrepreneurship, but the child is going to tell you what it needs. My brands told me what they needed for me to market them and to do what I needed to do. You feel what I'm saying? And that's where I got this concept. But your child, their abilities are what are the manual. Your child comes into this motherfucking space raw, full of potential, all potential untapped skills that you have to guide and cultivate so they don't lose them. But instead, you make them have permission to obey you. How does that work? How can we push forward as a culture, as a people, if we're not able to actually propel forward the people that are supposed to do it? So make sure when your baby reveals their abilities to you, you don't try to dilute, you don't try to mask their ability by giving them permissions templates to obey you. You as a parent need to help them cultivate their abilities to be used correctly for benefit. And then when it's used for detriment, show them how, because they have to continually use that. And that's how you guide them in the way in which they should go. You feel me? But again, I'm going to go ahead in there. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And I'm going to see y'all all on the next one. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.